Hi, this is Ed Cohen, your broadcast host today on Global TV. This is a service of globalbusinessnews.net. I invite you all to come, tune in, explore page one, news and information, some videos. Go to our new magazine, which is called Global Newsroom PR, and we have information, news and articles, surveys, white papers, opinion pieces, and some other stuff. Free access 24/7. We have globalradiotalkshow.com, and as I just mentioned, Global TV. And the Global TV connects to our YouTube channel, which is available, of course, free 24/7. You'll see a lot of things there. Okay. Special guests today are Diane Ayers, based in Cleveland, Ohio area, Akron area, Canton, as a matter of fact. And Diane is president of Porchlight Rental and porchlightrental.com. She'll get into that in just a second. Brian Limperopoulos is vice president with International Association of Movers, IAM, based in the DC area. Thank you for coming back, Brian. And really special guest here, Chuck White. Thank you for joining us. Chuck is the CEO of IAM. We'll be joined by others, and we'll be introducing them as we get going. So this program is going to be talking about the state of the industry. We've all heard or been on programs with that similar title, but here we are. It's August 14. Is peak season still going on, Chuck White?
It is. It is. I mean, everything has obviously from the pandemic and a lot of the issues of stay at home, et cetera, started to shift to the right. And so we are seeing our peak season move into August, September, and I think most people hope into October to try to make up for a lot of the missed shipments, the missed tonnage that folks had in the May-June timeframe.
Got it. Brian Limperopoulos, you're vice president. What does that mean?
That's a good question. I think the vice president. I try and support Chuck as much as I can. Chuck's our president at the association, and where I started with the association was in managing the programs and services that we develop for our members. So those are programs and services like our receivable protection program, which helps to safeguard invoices between our members when they do business with one another. Those are programs like our IAM Young Professionals. We have a hugely robust group of young professionals, 400 individuals around the world. So that's where I got my start. And then over time, I think my position has morphed a little bit more, getting involved with membership, marketing and communications, and being involved with our annual meeting. So it's really, I think, to support Chuck as much as I can, to support our committees and our volunteer leaders, and to help lead our staff on some of those major initiatives.
So
Brian,
I'm sorry.
Brian Brian is just helping me do everything, and so I can be the pretty face for the organization, and he does all the work.
Pretty?
So he's more the chief of staff, I would call him, than our VP.
So who knows? Maybe Kamala Harris will be chief of staff.
I like it.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on. Diane is an relocation industry veteran, although she looked really young and beautiful. She's been doing this almost as long or longer than I have. And so, Diane, why don't you tell us and the world that's listening as much as you want to about how you began in this industry and one of the reasons. Well, it'll be obvious why you are a success, but why don't you just say how you began way back then and where you are now, and the in between. So let me just kick it off by saying Diane's business, Porchlight Rental, porchlightrental.com, takes care of rental needs exclusively, and take it from there, please.
So we started 17 years ago, back in 2003, and I was 12. But we had seen this huge void in the marketplace and the relocation space for renters to be served really well. Everyone served home buyers. Everyone served those that were listing homes really well. But when it came to somebody who needed guidance in their new destination from a rental perspective, the void was huge. And when they got service, it was really kind of all over the map. There wasn't some consistent plan for really rolling that out on a national, or in our case, we serve North America. So we seized that opportunity, and we did that because we had a background in corporate housing. So for many years leading up to this decision to start Porchlight, my business partners and I, and a few of the team members that helped start the company with us, all had a corporate housing background. So we all had experience working on a national level. We all had experience working with rentals, but it was all apartment based. And when we went into Porchlight, we very quickly learned that over 50%, 60% of those we served wanted something other than apartments. And thus is the issue that people face today. You know, they get on the websites and they try to find rentals, and they absolutely can see them. That doesn't mean they're available. It's a lot of work to understand where to live. And so we've built our service around helping them have the local area insights they need, helping them have the service around really finding what rentals fit their criteria and are available, and packaging a wonderful either rental tour experience or remote virtual experience to the way the renters want it delivered. And what we're seeing now is we're serving 4 generations of customers. And I know you're all seeing that in your industry as well. So you're seeing the movement of shipment size probably reducing in that young population in a way that was different than before. We have to communicate across 4 generations, and the people who are time starved want something differently than those who are 24 years old and love doing the rental search all by themselves, but have really no good idea about where they should live, what's really available, and how to really understand a lease and what they're signing. So really having to, cross all of these needs in a way that communicates to everybody to make sure they see the services are there for what they need. So I don't know that I've answered your question beautifully yet, but it really was the impetus for the business was we saw the huge void serving renters. And ever since 2008, frankly, renters have just skyrocketed in this industry. And we continue to serve them at a growing pace every year.
So let me add that Diane is in the venture business, or has been, was one of the founders of Bridge Street, what became Bridge Street. So she's very modest. She's actually a powerhouse person in that side of the industry. So if we can work together to help IAM for their conference, and let's put together a panel of 5 or 6 corporates, I'm sure we could pull that together without question. Just send us a note or announce specifically now, what is the dates of your IAM conference, and what time of day do you think?
Yeah, so we're going to be October 21 through the 23rd. And we're mostly going to do the conference on the Eastern time zone. And that, to us, is the most conducive time frame for our global audience. Most of our members, we have a significant contingent in Asia. But if you look at probably 66% of our members would probably be in daylight at that time, Eastern time zone, early morning. We can get a lot of Europeans. We can get a lot of the Pacific time zone here in the States. So that's what we're going to look to do. We're trying to make this into an experience and an event that people want to be a part of. That is not just another Zoom meeting that you have to kind of show up for, that this is going to be a place where you can connect, for the people that you typically see at a conference and you've missed through this whole pandemic. You have the opportunity, the platform we've selected, you have the opportunity to connect in a really easy way, just at the click of a button to set up a video conference. And we give a lot of tools to support that networking. Chuck can talk about it a little bit more, but we did a lot of research about how do we connect our members, because if you look at our survey results, that's the number one benefit that we deliver to members is networking. So how do we recreate that in a virtual setting? And we found a great platform that does that. So we're excited about it. It's a lot of work, but we're going to bring our community together October 21 through 23. And I think we're going to have a really great event. The one thing I want to emphasize, though, is we're going to have a lot more. You mentioned it, Ed, a lot more content. Typically, and Chuck has led this every year. We've done a lot with the U.S. government, the U.S. military, but we're going to have a lot more content focused on the corporate side and regional looks at that. So what's going on in Asia, what's going on in Latin America, Europe, et cetera. So those are kind of the opportunities for us. And we're really looking forward to exploring those new opportunities and making that available to our members who typically come, and then maybe engaging a new group of people from our members and have them join us for the conference as well.
Let me ask you, will it be available on demand? In other words, if I don't want to get up at 4 a.m. my time, I could tune in to that segment.
Not for you, Ed, but for everybody else. So, the way it'll work is we're going to launch the platform, and it's basically we're constructing the conference space right now in a virtual environment, and we're going to launch that in early September. And at that point, anybody who's registered at that point can come in and start booking meetings, and they can start booking meetings until October 23rd, essentially. And so the platform will be open from early September through the conference, and then it'll be open for a month afterward. So, yeah, if you had to sleep in one morning and missed a particular event, you could come back around and watch it.
So let me ask you, so what you're saying is that there's going to be options available. You'll have, say, from 9 to 12, say Eastern, you'll have reports from certain committees available, and then simultaneously members can meet with a mover from Japan by a private booking that's not public.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. So we'll be having sessions going. We won't be having committee meetings because it's just going to be too much. There's a lot of support, a lot of additional support you got to give in a virtual environment. So we're going to be focused on providing that support, having committee meetings either before or after. But those one-to-one networking where I can come in and I say, well, I want to meet with Ed, and he has 5 time slots available. I'll see if he's available at 11 a.m. and you can accept that or suggest a new time. So the interface for that is really seamless and makes it easy for you to connect. So, if I can kind of visualize it for you, you'll log in, and one of the buttons at the top will be attendees. And so Diane's in there as an attendee. I click her name, and I can read about her, however much she's filled out in her profile, and she can make available what times are available for her to meet. So Diane, if you're a big client and you don't have much time available, you may block that all out. But if you're looking to connect with people and networking is what you're trying to accomplish, you're going to want to make those times available. And then people can come in and just find you through that. The other part of that is we're going to be bringing over a lot of data from our association management system, our database, IAM Mobility Exchange. So it makes it easy for our members to say, okay, I need a service provider in South Africa to do maybe rental services. We don't have anybody who's doing that right now, but we could. Right now, they could come in and say, I need a service provider for moving services in the Johannesburg area. We make it very easy for us to put in the search criteria, and then the people who are registered pop up automatically. And, I think for your audience, Ed, you're connected with a lot of people in the mobility and the relocation space. And those people who may not be thrilled with their moving service providers or may want to broaden their moving service providers, that would be a really good application for it.
Chuck, how are you going to please go right ahead. But I just want to chime in on that about the data interoperability.
Interoperability.
Yeah, right. So you're going to address that too?
We are. We're going to have a session where we've started, and really it's been through Brian's leadership. We have a group called the Moving and Mobility Standards Alliance, and we are trying through a number of the key trade associations around the world to bring together thoughts on standardizing processes throughout the industry. And then as we build that standardization, this interoperability that you talk about, the ability to move data seamlessly between systems will be available. You can't do it without standards first. So we'll be having a meeting during the conference of the Moving and Mobility Standards Alliance to continue to build on what we started at last year's annual conference. Yeah. One of the other things I wanted to talk about and add to Brian's great recap of the direction we're going, this year we're going to offer different tracks to our members so that they can go in and really focus in on the different sessions and learning opportunities that we have in the areas that they're looking for. So we are going to have a U.S. government track that will include the Department of Defense, the GSA program, the Department of State, et cetera. And then we're going to have our corporate mobility line that we will have a number of the sessions that Brian talked about, both regional and focused on U.S. and the reload market. We'll have a young professionals track, and then we'll have a general track for a number of the types of meetings that we have normally at our session. So we're really trying to open up. The final one that we're going to focus in on is we believe that there is a real audience out there for us now. I don't know if you've been following it, but the other collaborative type organizations such as ourselves that is in our space, the American Moving and Storage Association, has announced they plan to merge with the American Trucking Association. We think that opens up an opportunity for us. ATA is a huge trucking-focused organization, and it's a tremendous organization, no question about it. But we don't think that their focus is on the moving and mobility side of the business. And so we think there's an opportunity for us to be able to really provide services to the rank and file moving and storage entity in the U.S. So we're going to have a track that's focused on them as well. So again, people can find their points of interest and they can choose a group of opportunities that we'll provide, and then that'll be a track for them.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned it because I did get that news release and I found it really interesting. And we'll get into that later. But you can count on me and Diane to assist IAM in attracting corporate people to your October event. I'd want to pause right now and welcome Mark Colo. Hi, Mark. Welcome.
Ed.
Hi, Mark.
So, Mark, I want you to meet Chuck White, if you don't already know Chuck White.
Chuck.
How are you, Mark?
I'm sure I've heard his name before.
Used in vain, I'm sure.
Yeah.
No, it's all
And
good.
Brian Limperopoulos, and also Diane Ayers is Mark Colo, who's VP Sales with Chipman, longtime West Coast household goods and logistics provider.
Diane.
Yeah. Great. So Mark has been on our program several times, and I welcome you back. So we're just discussing, Mark, just to bring you up to speed, the peak season. So very quickly, Mark, why don't you tell us your view of peak season? Is it going to go on into the fall?
I think it's going to go on definitely till next fall. I've talked to some of the scientists and neuroscientists that I've spoken to, some of them in the discovery side of cures for COVID. They feel that it's probably going to be late next year before we have any kind of a viable virus fighting vaccine to get rid of this thing. It's probably always going to be around in some form or shape, but it's it's encouraging to know that they're getting closer to finding something to get rid of this thing sooner than later.
Yeah. And so Mark, for you, what about peak season activity in Chipman? Are you seeing it steady, or is it already a decline?
No, it's been fairly steady for us, but we're unlike some other movers, we're pretty well diversified. We've been wise enough to go in different directions. We do a lot of hospitality work. We do a lot of third party, a lot of 3PL. We do a lot of household goods, commercial moving, a number of different revenue lines that we've gotten engaged in. So we're probably a cut above most other movers because of that. Let me turn this phone off because I've got. This is about time.
Sounds like you got a little business coming on there, Mark.
Let me just turn it off. Okay, I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's all right. So I also want to introduce Mark as a founder and a director of my favorite charity, which is currently called findcures.org. Mark, it's about neuro
research, neuro cures, neuro support services. We're kind of like the Aflac of the neurological industry. You know, most healthcare companies will go only so far in serving the customer. Others will go a little bit further. We feel that we go to the nth degree because if we have an individual that's not being taken care of because of their healthcare coverage or the health restrictions, we'll step in and we'll write a check if need be to help that person with a massage or special counseling or whatever else to help that person with that chronic neurological disease.
So I want to step aside for just a second in this conversation and talk with you all about video and its use in training. And as an example of that, and when we come back on the other side of the next 2.5 minutes, let's discuss the video aspects of IAM convention, the virtual, convention, and explaining to particularly the younger buyers of services coming along the use of video rather than just talk. So, Paul, if you can tee him up. So you're going to see about 2.5 minutes of commercials, but I'd like you to tell me, particularly on the last ones, do you think they resonate? And then let's discuss the use of video in promoting our own businesses coming up.
As an expat moving to the USA, relocating is exciting, but it can also be stressful. Getting a car, truck, or SUV for personal transportation is usually a high priority. That's where International Auto Source comes in. We make getting the vehicle you want for your work assignment or academic program easy, so you're ready to drive when you arrive. Our product specialists have helped over 50,000 expatriates with their personal transportation needs, making us the largest international auto retailer in the world. International Auto Source gives you flexible payment options to buy, lease, or rent a vehicle from the world's leading auto brands, arrange financing on a purchase or lease without a U.S. credit history, social security number, or driving record, get full insurance coverage, and get approved easily through our low-rate factory-backed financing programs. And because we're an authorized distributor of the world's leading automotive brands, our no-haggle prices are competitive, and the buying experience is hassle-free. We'll even guarantee your new vehicle will be ready the day you arrive. With over 20 years of experience in the global community, we are the vehicle experts for expats. We are International Auto Source.
Hello there! Are you going global? If so, it makes sense to obtain insurance that will cover you and your family members globally. Expat Financial is an independent international brokerage that offers international health insurance, expatriate life and disability insurance, as well as travel insurance plans to both individual expatriates and expatriate employers. Expat Financial connects clients around the world with well-known and respected insurance service providers while providing excellent client support and service. Individual expats can also obtain a quote and apply for international health insurance coverage via expatfinancial.com. Expat Financial, a division of TFG Global Insurance Solutions Ltd, can also source special risk coverage for employees working in high-risk countries. Please contact Expat Financial today to discuss your global insurance needs. Remember, Expat Financial is your go-to expatriate insurance specialist. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.
Managing your FF&D supply chain poses a big challenge, as in this big. From beginning to end, supply chains involve so many vendors to manage and hold accountable, unless you choose Chipman. With Chipman, you have a single vendor you can trust from order to installation. We manage the freight's journey from shipping point forward, and you can track your product at any given time. With company-owned warehouses across the West Coast and service centers throughout the nation, Chipman offers the same excellence to you, regardless of where you do business. We receive, inspect, and inventory your product according to your purchase order. Our robust web-based warehouse management software makes it easy to view your inventory in our warehouses. Because Chipman is an asset-based logistics company, we have the resources to deliver your product on schedule and to respond to expedited requests. We can even go the final mile with full FF&D and OS&D installation services. We work to ensure your project finishes on time and on budget. We've built a single source solution for our customers, offering freight management, warehousing, delivery, installation, and project management. Make Chipman your logistics partner on your next hospitality project.
Anyway, thank you for listening. And watching. So those are sponsors, of course, but are maybe not yet, but maybe almost. So I wanted to share the experience, if you will. We're talking about experiences. Mark, this is a surprise to you, so I didn't mean to embarrass, of course, but that I think is a really cute portrayal of logistics, and because nobody knows what that is. So, so Diane, let's talk about rentals, okay? People fleeing New York and fleeing other big cities for the suburbs or exurbs because they need more space for home office. So they're renting, or are they buying, or what?
Well, we've seen rental, as I mentioned, since 2008 in the housing crisis. People who are moving to a new destination, even if they intend to buy soon or within a year or two, they are choosing to rent first. And they're doing that for a lot of reasons. But they obviously want to know if they're going to like their job, what the market's like before they actually make that financial plunge. Or they really just intend to rent. That was always their intention. And it just has always crossed all age groups and genders. People with children and school needs, they want a single family home. And again, they're going to rent. They're just going to make sure they're renting in the right school systems. So rental is on the rise. It's there for a lot of reasons. And it seems like a really safe step for people to start in a new destination. We just follow what their needs are, Ed. So if they want to be within a 30-minute commute, or if they need a certain size, or they need something to accept pets, it's our job at Porchlight to help them find the right community in terms of lifestyle match in the neighborhoods and areas they want to live, and then bringing the right rental options to the table based on the rest of their criteria. That's what we do. We bring it to them. We make it very efficient and provide all the local advice and guidance along the way for people who don't know a new market.
So I saw a chart. I think I was on, I was on your site, and I think it was on one of the pages their PorchLightRental.com, that
Temporary
showed
analytics.
a cost comparison
Yeah.
doing business with you guys versus doing it with someone else or some other system.
Right.
And it shows a tremendous savings. Now, how do you do that?
What we offer our clients is an opportunity to really drive cost savings because most relocation policies provide for temporary housing, but not all relocation policies provide for rental finding assistance. And the reality is when you're moving a renter, a lot of costs are reduced. The van line costs, as we're talking about today, along with the fact that they're not a buyer. So there's no closing costs involved. They need temporary housing typically is kind of like what you offer. You offer household goods and temporary living, and then they figure, okay, the transferee will sit in temporary living and figure out their rental. But should companies flip that mentality, they'll see that they connect them with a destination service provider who's of quality and who knows what they're doing. And at Porchlight, we support them until they have an address. So it's not about one day and done. It's about supporting them until they have their actual lease. You'll drive that temporary housing cost savings because they just don't need it, nor in fact do they want it. Many times transferees, and we track the statistic for our clients, we ask them right out of the gate, do you offer, do you have temporary housing? The answer will be yes or no. If it's yes, is it your intention to use it? Or would you like to move into your rental if we're able to accommodate that? And 67% of transferees, we know this across our client base, prefer to avoid temporary housing. So right there, you have an opportunity to save money. But if you don't incorporate a destination service provider to really help that along, then you risk them sitting in temporary living. So we know we can drive cost savings if you utilize Porchlight. We know it. And so the information that's on our site really just shows them the temporary housing average cost is $161 a day. You cut that in half, that's the cost savings you're seeing on our site.
No, thank you very much.
For hotels.
And Diane, are you active in, where is you in the US, Canada? What is your scope of operation?
We are US and Canada. We've been serving all across North America for 17 years. We have over 700 in our rental agent network, but we also have our own internal research department to provide all kinds of resources if people don't want rental tours. So we have lots of options, again, across those generations, across the price points that clients need, but the ability to follow somebody through to an address is really our key differentiator.
Diane, are you working mainly through destination service providers, or do you sometimes work with agents directly?
We are a destination service provider, and we absolutely contract directly with local brokerages and agents across North America.
Okay.
Chuck, you're
Oh, you're on mute.
Unmute.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Have you ever had the opportunity to have a client that's moving their folks outside of North America and then partnered with other destination service providers outside that area?
What we have done, Chuck, in those cases is really made the referral. We don't stay involved and handle the billing and stay in the middle. We make the referral through our network of, partners that we're aware of.
Got it. Thank you.
Right. So let's go back to Mark Colo. His specialty, because of his personal experiences, is focusing in on medical devices and research scientists who have high value, extremely high value cargo that needs to be safe, clean, protected. Mark?
Yeah, my career has kind of evolved from one segment to the next. I don't know if I got bored at something and had to do something new, or I actually evolved into something better. But I tend to be, for the last 5 years, I've tended to focus on moving research scientists who will be the next, brilliant individuals who find cures for some of these neurological diseases, including Parkinson's, which I've had for 14 years, and it's really a fun thing. So I've learned a lot, but I get contacted by purchasing departments for universities all across the U.S., sometimes abroad, not often, and they ask me to relocate their incoming research scientists. And surprisingly enough, or maybe fortuitously enough, I would say that about two-thirds of those scientists are involved in neurological research. I moved a guy named Howard Federoff years ago. Became within about 2 or 3 months, he became the CEO of UC Irvine Health. He was over the university, the medical school, the pharmaceutical department. He was over anything dealing with health. He was the number one guy and probably the number two guy on campus. So when you move someone like that, you get to know other people and you get to branch out and meet new resources. Howard was friends with a young lady named Jean Loring, who worked for Scripps neurological research. She's since left, started her own company called Aspen Neurosciences. And she stole Howard from UC Irvine from his position to come become their CEO. They just got $70 million in funding for their research. And he may be the one that finds the next cure for some of these chronic neurological diseases. He and I have become very good friends. So that's a little bit about kind of what I do, but I'll move freezers with biological specimens that the scientist has, created and found insight from, that they have in these freezers that are sub 20s and sub 80s. And these scientists will trust me to relocate their life's work from coast to coast in many cases. And it's an honor and it's a thrill for me because a lot of these people come inbound to UCLA, USC, UC Irvine, and even Chapman College and a few other universities. So I get to meet them when they come out here. I just go out, make an excuse to do a QC on the move, make sure they're happy. And it's been a remarkable journey, but thanks for asking that question, Ed.
It's a pleasure. So it's findcures.org. So Chuck, when are you going to go back to Hawaii, Honolulu, and hold?
In the virtual space, I'm always there, and in my mind, I'm always there. I'm excited. If you're talking about our annual conference, which we've had in Hawaii a number of times, we've been in discussions with Hawaii. So I'm sure that I can invite you to that conference, and I'll bet when we have that in person, you'll be there.
Well, I was going to say that it's much better for the Asian market.
Well, you know what? One of the things we do try to do, again, this is in this virtual environment, it's a little different, but we do try to push our meeting from east to west every other year. We were supposed to be in your backyard this year in San Diego at the Manchester Grand Hyatt. Obviously, that's not going to happen. The virus chose not to cooperate with us. But we do that orientation east to west to 1 year make it a little more accessible to Africa and Europe. And then the following year we'll be on the West Coast to make it more accessible to the Pacific Rim and Asia. So, we do that orientation. It just makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Speaking of the Hyatt, just in the last week, it's opened. And there's, this being August in San Diego, is quite a bit of tourism here. Not like a year ago, but compared to a month ago, it's booming right now. So seems like it's normal, but long way to go.
We did our very best to hold out as long as we possibly could before we moved to a fully virtual environment. It was our intent to be in San Diego, to have a hybrid type of meeting for those that didn't feel comfortable traveling. Right. They had the ability to do the virtual side, and those that wanted to be on site to do that. But you guys in California didn't seem to want to play nice and social distance, and everybody wants to be on the beach together, and so we had to make that final decision.
Yeah, well, we're going to go to the beach this afternoon.
See, you're one of them. You're one of them. Right. Take your mask.
Yeah, okay. No, you don't need a mask when you're walking along the beach.
But, all right.
Just in an elevator. Yeah, elevators for sure. Okay, so Brian, let's zero in on the conference, okay, and give our audience a glimpse as to some of the highlights in addition to what you've already mentioned. I'm really interested, by the way, in this technology platform that you guys have settled on. Can you go a little deeper in that? How easy is it for a dummy like me to work?
So the specific technology platform you're referencing, it's made by a French company called Swapcard. And so what it does is it kind of makes it easy for people to come in and have that conference experience in a digital framework. So, I said it earlier, but, our goal when we started out was that this was not going to be just another Zoom meeting, that there was going to be additional functionality built on top of it to make it easy for you and Mark and Chuck and Diane to accomplish your business objectives and hopefully have a social experience as well. So we have the functionality is, kind of oriented around networking. I described it earlier about the ease of which to connect with your fellow attendees. We have this roundtable functionality where if you want to have if you go to a conference and you just want to have your own booth at a restaurant or your own suite where you can have meeting after meeting after meeting, you can have this roundtable functionality where you can invite all of your, let's say, your service providers to meet throughout the day. So that gives our members that experience that a lot of them typically like our conference for. Then you have kind of the session aspect where you're coming in, you're learning about what Chuck referenced, the different tracks. So if I'm a U.S. government or military person, I'm learning about, what just happened, what's the latest with the U.S. military global household good contract, or, the latest what's going on with GSA. So that's one track. And then, we have kind of another track with the corporate relocation. And Chuck described it really well. And then we have our special events, and we do this every year where we recognize people from around the industry. So this year we're going to be welcoming 3 really incredible people into our Hall of Honor: Jeff Coleman, Georgia Engel, and Mark Smet. And we're going to recognize our scholarship winners. We're starting a new award this year called our Here to Help Award. So IAM started a new charity last year called IAM Here to Help. And what it does is it calls on our 2,000 service providers around the world to utilize their capacity. And you saw it with Mark's video, like all the capacity that Chipman has. But we have 2,000 companies around the world that have, similar capacity and assets that Chipman does, and utilize that network to respond to natural disasters and humanitarian crises. So we're going to be unveiling our first Here to Help Award, and it's really going to zero in on those companies that really supported the COVID-19 response, whether in their local communities or as a global kind of focus in their response. Chuck always gives gives a recap of what's going on with the association every year. And so we'll be looking at that. So it's hard to capture all that we're going to be doing. And I'm sure,
Brian,
Chuck, why don't you jump in?
No, just don't forget to mention the fact that we're going to also have an exhibit hall. And we will have exhibitors and sponsors that will be able to project their goods and services that they provide. And that's going to be a very robust environment as well, where exhibitors can do demonstrations, where they can do one-on-one meetings, where they can provide the ability to do contracting with documents, et cetera, that are available. So if you're an exhibitor, it will be very much the same as what we have in an in-person meeting, but it can be more targeted, where an exhibitor can go out and grab a hold of people to set up meetings, to bring them into their environment. Or if someone is an attendee and they're interested in particular partners or services, they can then reach out to those exhibitors and set meetings and times with them. So again, we're going to try to mirror as closely the in-person experience as we possibly can, and then even build on that.
So are you saying that people can get VR headsets and glasses and
No, I haven't gone to that level. I would love that. We did see some technologies where you almost had a figure that was yourself, and you would literally walk through the halls of the exhibit hall. the aisles of the exhibit hall. So yeah, there is some technology that we'll be able to build on in the future, because I think this is here to stay. There's a new normal out there, I think, as we move forward.
Yeah,
I
Brian.
think speaking of technology, I mean, that's a huge application of what Chuck described. You go into a normal expo hall and it's just, there's the din of the expo hall. There's all the, the noise that's going on, and you're trying to pay attention, but somebody taps you on the shoulder to say hello. This gives particularly anybody who's showing off a software platform, a really easy way to, invite people into a room and put it on a screen and have a demo, an interactive demo where you can show off your product and your service, and really give an in-depth look to some potential clients. So I actually think the virtual conference is more enhanced in that regard from a selling standpoint.
I agree. Just listen to what you're all saying. We've all attended these conferences in the past, and it's very random, and you hope you run into the person you need, and you kind of have this list in advance and you're looking for somebody. But in your situation, it's super targeted, super productive, and ultimately you have all the tools you need, like you're saying, with the demo to be able to take place in a very quality environment. You have their attention. You can do it without noise and distraction. It sounds almost too good to be true. So I'm excited for you guys.
We hope it's not. And the other thing that comes along with it as an exhibitor is all of the analytics that's available to you.
Yeah.
You don't have to sit there and take a card and try to tap this into your database and then try to make notes or remember exactly what was talked about. All of that is contained, and the capabilities to do all that is contained within the platform. And then at the end of the meeting, at the push of a button, you get all of those analytics available to you. So again, there as you say, Diane, there's some significant advantages. But again, I don't want to talk it. I want to talk it up and get people to come, but I don't want to talk it up to the point that nobody wants to come to our in-person meeting in the future, because there's nothing like that face-to-face, grab that hand and shake that hand interaction that builds relationships.
I got to tell you that last year at Chicago at the Hyatt, the bar scene was absolutely spectacular.
And that's the one thing I don't think we can replicate.
At an IAM annual meeting? Really?
Drinking? Oh my God.
Well, just the scene, nobody wore a mask, and everybody was shoulder to shoulder. And it was terrific for meeting and greeting. And it was just wonderful.
Exactly what we were hoping to do. The Manchester, this would have been our fourth year back at the Manchester.
Yeah,
and
good.
One of the reasons is the networking opportunities that literally are available at the bar. The bar can be 10 deep with people, and everybody's trying to interact with one another and looking across the bar and seeing that person that they want to interact with. But as Diane talks about, we have the ability now in this environment not have to wait, not have to look and find, but you can target that individual. You can invite that individual right now to come in and have a discussion with you, whether it be one-on-one as an attendee or as an exhibitor, and being able to reach out. And as the exhibitor, you don't just have one-on-one capability, you have the ability to have 4 people in an enclosed area that's personal and that you can engage with and do your selling.
So I want to get back into the idea of the corporate community and inviting them to become involved. This time it'll be a heck of a lot easier for them.
Right.
They don't have to travel. They don't have to spend company money. They don't have to be away from their family, and yet they can contribute. So, Brian, tell me, what is the top 1 or 2 things that you would want me to convey to my corporate relations network?
Well, I think, we want you to be there. And because we want you to be there, we're going to make registration complimentary for, people who have business to come and meet our members. We want to build that connection between, the people who have moves and the people who can service those moves. Second thing is we're going to have a focus on technology, and we know technology is a big focus of people to kind of make the transferee experience that much more, take a lot of the friction out of that. And that gets back to something you alluded to earlier, Ed, which was the standardization, the interoperability. And I think that's, one thing that I think would have a lot of value for, the people with whom you're connected, because I think they have the same challenges that we all have, where, I'm a transferee and I have to enter my information for 10 different service providers when I'm moving. I have to enter it for Diane. I have to enter it for Mark. I have to enter it for my actual employer. So there's an opportunity there to engage the corporate sector on this initiative, the Moving and Mobility Standards Alliance, and get them involved in this discussion about how we utilize standards with the end goal of creating a place where the transferee has to enter their information once, and that information can flow from initiation all the way through the completion of the relocation. So I think those are two huge opportunities for people in the corporate sector. Again, it won't cost them anything. It's really time at that point.
Yeah.
From that standpoint, and then we're looking at different ideas. One session that we're looking to put on is a whole discussion about how to procure moving services when you are, a corporate HR person. If you want to go direct to a moving service provider, to bring in other people who do that directly and create kind of a roundtable effect where each people talks about their discussion or their experiences and maybe trades tips and strategies for how they've done it, because it is one of the most expensive parts of a relocation. And we want to create an environment where these people who are in charge of procuring the service have the information and the tips to do so.
Wow, cool. Diane, to what extent do you interact with the household goods people?
Honestly, not a great deal, because we're working with the transferees who are doing all of those interactions. So we may be in a position to offer a referral here or there, but much of our business comes from corporates directly or for an RMC, and they have those relationships built. So we really have learned you need to stay in your lane, because those previous relationships are important. So we if we're asked something, we'll either direct them back to the client that provided us the transferee. And if that's not involved for some reason, then we're in a position to make some recommendations.
Yeah. Mark Colo? Is he there?
Yeah.
No? Hi, Mark. Yeah. So tell me about your corporate calling, the way you perform your specialty with the high value content, clean and safe approach.
The high value content.
Yeah, like, moving brain tissue.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not an expert in moving brain tissue, but I do know ways to get it there intact. The biggest concern when you move those kind of products is keeping the temperature at the same level that it must be. Most of my researchers will tell me that if the temperature rises or drops by more than 3 or 4 degrees, it will compromise their samples. And again, that's their life's work. So it's critical that we get these large freezers at -80s and -20s. It's critical that we get them unplugged quickly. We get the unit moved very quickly to the van, and there's specialty vans that move these. Get them on the liftgate, get them in the truck, plug them in, and so that you don't let the temperature drop by more than 3 or 4 degrees. And we do that consistently. I've probably had 85 research scientists I've moved in the last 4 years, and not one has had any damage to their samples.
Yeah, thankfully.
So I'm glad.
That's great. Yeah, that's a success story. So Chuck, really appreciate you and appreciate you, Brian, for supporting this program today. And you have delivered succinct and happy information that everyone we send this program to throughout your network, with the help of Ray De Silva's network, the Exchange. A lot of people are going to see this going forward. And I don't know how many, but in some of our other programs that we've produced only since we began in mid-March, some of them have hit over 15,000 views. Not that they stay on for the whole darn show, but they look at it. Some do. And others don't get many hits at all. but I think this one, because of its specific targeting and personalities involved here today, with the networking capabilities, that this program will go forward, or whether it's Japan or Taiwan or Singapore or Melbourne or India or Southern California. So I thank you, Diane, for being the leader and co-sponsor again.
My pleasure. It's been great to meet all of you, and I think your conference sounds phenomenal.
Well, I'll follow up with some information, Diane.
Yeah, because Diane, I think DSPs are a critical piece of the mobility chain, and I think there's a place for you in our conference for sure, because
I'm going to target that.
Yeah, they're
people.
Yeah, there are plenty of folks that are bookers of shipments overseas that are involved with sending transferees into the U.S. and Canada, and they're looking for support for their transferees. So I definitely see some synergies here. Would love to follow up with you.
Okay, Mark Colo, are you still going ahead with your golf tournament for charity?
Yes, we are. Can I share my screen just for 1 second, Ed?
Well, if you know how to do it.
So I think so.
I don't know how to do it. So, Paul, are you there?
I do have to drop off now, so I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to leave.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
There's the details, Diane. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Bye, Diane.
Bye.
All right, so,
you, Diane.
October 12th in Yorba Linda, which is in Orange County, just south of LA. This is for charity. Should we wear masks?
Yeah, absolutely. We're all going to be COVID conscious for this, Ed. This is our third tournament. And last year we had 100 registered golfers. Our goal was 150 for this tournament. So we'll see how many brave golfers will venture out on the COVID course. But if you think about it, it's one of the safest sports you can do is play golf, as long as you know your buddies in good shape. So anyway, something to think about.
Yeah, okay. As you can see, I'm wearing my mask right here. And my glasses are fogging up, so I got to take them off. Wait. Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Mark.
Sure. Yeah, I did it. I actually did it without losing.
Well, I can't do that.
That's amazing.
I got thumbs.
That's why you got a producer.
Yeah, savior. Brian, thank you for going along with this. I know you guys are really busy now.
We're drinking from the fire hose right now, for sure.
Okay, great. All right, so we got to end this. Thank you. This is Ed signing off in San Diego, Mark in Orange County, and you guys in the DC area, right?
Yep.
No, you're in Hawaii. Right.
Yo,
That's in Hawaii.
Yeah.
In my mind, anyway.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ed. Good seeing you again, Mark.
It.
See you on TV.
Say hi to John Chipman for me.
I will.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.